Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you're having a really good start to your day. Today, joining me again is my best friend, Grant. He's going to be my little yoga model, and then we have our distraction helpers, which are Bella and Bruno. So we'll see if they can chill with us throughout the practice. That's a good girl, Bella. So we'll go ahead and start seated on our mats. And when you get there, maybe use a prop underneath the sit bones, but root the sit bones onto the floor or onto a prop. Once you get there, I always mention trying to rock the sit bones from side to side. That just helps to root you deeper into the surface that you're sitting on. And then we'll start with the hands on the knees. And I want you to lift up through the center of the chest and close the eyes. Before we begin our breaths, I want you to notice the feeling. Start to become aware of how the mind is thinking. Are you distracted easily right now? Or are you able to settle right away? And then put a smile on your face. Keep the eyes closed. And then you can keep the hands on the knees, or you can bring them to the heart, whatever is more comfortable. And together, we'll take our 3 breaths. On your next inhale, take a big breath in through the nose. And then open the mouth, sigh it out. Again, big inhale through the nose. Open mouth, sigh it out. And one final time, slow inhale. Feel that pause at the top of the breath, and then open the mouth, slowly sigh it all out with control. And then seal the lips and bring all of your awareness to your breath, breathing in and out of the nose. Start to constrict the back of the throat so it sounds like you're fogging up a mirror. And we'll take a few breaths here to center and connect to our breath. So today's practice is using our practice kind of as a reflection to how we react off the mat. So those reactions that we encounter on the mat from a pose, from holding something for too long, for going into a pose that we don't like, how do you react to those on the mat? And then maybe you start to notice how you respond and react to things off the mat as well. So we'll take a breath here to find our intention, become aware and focus of your moment here. Really nice. Blink the eyes open if you want. Very gently, I want you to come down onto the back and have the feet as wide as the mat and the knees coming in towards one another. When you do this, roll the spine down so it's one vertebrae at a time that comes down onto the floor. And then right away, you're going to place one hand on the heart and one hand on the belly. Pull the knees in towards one another so you can walk the feet as wide as feels comfortable to make that happen. And then with one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, start to notice the breath. So sometimes we'll just breathe into the top hand. So just do that for a moment. Start to breathe into that top hand only. And then other times, we'll breathe just into the belly. So let go of the chest breath and just feel the breath coming into the belly, that rise of the belly. So what we really want to do is try and breathe into the whole entire container of our body. So on your next breath in, see if you can fill both hands. A lift through the heart and the chest, a rise of the belly, and an expansion of the sides of the ribs. And then as you exhale, you'll feel everything start to come back towards the center, towards the midline. Again, inhale, find that deep breath, big expansion all around. And then exhale. Just stay with this breath. Find your pace, your rhythm to your breath. It doesn't need to be with my commands or my cues. It just needs to use that as a guide to come back to your breath. but find your pace so then that way you feel calm and comfortable here. And then take 2 more breaths. And then bring the hands to the sides of the body. Walk the left foot into center and you'll hug the right knee into chest. So you can wrap the hands around the shin or you can wrap the hands around the hamstring, whichever feels more comfortable to you. As you pull the right knee into the chest, I want you to feel the right hip softening and releasing. A lot of times we'll hold on to that tension in the hip. So release the hip, soften now. And if you can extend the left leg out straight, really gentle. Feel the left heel come down onto the floor. Start to roll out that right ankle in one direction. You might hear some cracks and pops, and then rotate in the other direction. Waking up the foot, the ankle, Achilles, right into the shin, and the calf. And then a couple of points and flexes with that foot. And then now I want you to engage the left foot. So flex the left foot, push through the heel. And you're going to extend the right leg up straight, right towards the ceiling. Interlace the hands behind the hamstring. Both feet are going to be flexed, so keep both legs engaged. And the inner thighs are going to spiral forward. So the bottom inner thigh is going to spiral down to the ground. And that leg in the air, the inner thigh will spiral forward. And then when you do this, feel the hamstring pull into that right hand. And you'll take another breath, big, deep breath in to find length through both heels. And then release the right foot down to the floor. You're going to hug the left knee in. Bring that left knee into the chest. And then just pause here for a moment. See if you can settle the hips, release them back into the mat. And then as you hug that left knee closer to the chest, soften the left hip down. See if you can almost push the hip forward to get a little bit more length. Then roll out the ankle in one direction. Notice if the foot feels different on this side compared to the right. And then the opposite direction. Find a couple of points and flexes with the foot. And then you'll pause here. That right leg extends out. Heel is going to flex. So press through that right heel. Find some softness now once you engage the leg forward. And then we'll extend the left leg up to the ceiling. Interlace the hands around the left hamstring. And as you press the left hamstring into the thigh, or the left hamstring, into the palms, feel that thigh connecting. Reach the right heel forward. Left heel is going to extend up towards the ceiling. Take another full breath here. See if you can find some softness. Where are you holding on to tension here? Take another full breath. Now the left foot is going to come down to the floor. Right foot is going to step next to the left, and I want you to bring the hands along the sides of the body. Walk the soles of the heels, a little bit closer towards the sit bones and press the soles of the feet into the floor. On your next inhale, I want you to engage the core and press into the feet to lift the hips nice and high. So you'll come into a bridge pose. When you do this, you're grounding the feet into the floor and use the leverage of the legs to lift the hips. And you're going to feel this space in the front of the thighs. Imagine where you're sitting all day, from driving, from sitting on the couch, from working, and this space starts to get shortened from sitting so much. So take a moment here. You can even start to walk the heels closer to the sit bones to get a little bit more lift through the hips. And then keep the gaze towards the belly button. Chin stays tucked. Take another full breath, watching the rise and the fall of the belly. Press into the feet to lift a little bit higher on the next breath in. And then as you exhale, you're going to roll the spine all the way down, one vertebrae at a time. Pause here, take a full breath. Notice the low back. Notice the fronts of the hips. And then bring the knees into the chest. Engage the core. Lift the forehead towards the knees and soften the shoulders down away from the back of the neck. Belly button is going to come towards the spine. I want you to use this engagement with the core to start to rock forward and backwards on the mat. So you'll rock to wake up the spine, even get into the back of the neck, and then we're rocking up to seated. We're just going to be in seated just for a moment. Rock the sit bones side to side once again, and then notice the crossing of the legs. Switch the crossing from when we started. Up through the heart, pull the shoulder blades together behind the back. And I want you just to pause here. Notice if you lost your connection to your breath. This is our most important tool for yoga. It's what can ground us. It can calm the nervous system. So take another full cycle here, really connecting to your rhythmic pace. Keep the eyes closed. On your inhale, I want you to sweep the arms up. Keep the arms lifted, fingertips towards the ceiling. The arms are somewhere in line by the ears. And as you take another inhale, lift up, feel a space between the ribs. Right hand is going to come down to the floor. Walk the fingertips towards the right. Keep the sit bones planted to the mat and just reach that the left fingertips over towards the right. Soften through the left shoulder. And then settle here. Where are you gripping? A lot of times we'll start to hold tension and grip in the low back. I want you to find that softness here. Use your breath as much as possible. Take another full round. And then press into this palm into the floor. Inhale to rise. Both hands come up to the ceiling. Pause here for your exhale. Ground into the floor. Inhale to find length. And then use that exhale to bring the left hand down to the floor. Walk the fingertips over. Use the right fingertips to go over the right ear towards the left. You'll soften it through that right shoulder. And just notice the difference of the sides of the body here. And you want to think about creating space now along the right side of the body. Full breath. Inhale to come back to center. Both hands come up. Lift the fingertips up. And then our next exhale, we're going to bring the hands down to the floor. You can cross over the ankles, and we're going to step right back into our plank pose just for a moment. So however feels comfortable for you to do so. When you step back, before you get the toes back, make sure you find the foundation with the palms. You'll root the palms into the mat. And then think about shining the creases of the elbows towards one another. That's going to help you to screw the palms down. So a lot of times we shine them forward. See if you can rotate them so that they are facing one another. 1 foot at a time, you'll step back into plank pose. Belly button is engaged, and then pull the shoulder blades down the back. Take a big breath to get long. And then use that exhale to pull the hips up towards the ceiling for downward facing dog. I want you to press into the palms like you're trying to stretch the mat forward, and then lift the booty up nice and high, almost like you're trying to reach it towards the ceiling. And then softness. Heart is going to come closer to the front of the thighs. Take another full breath. I want you to look back at your toes. Start to walk your hands backwards towards your toes. Widen the feet as wide as your mat. You'll grab onto opposite elbows. Come into that forward fold. So when you do this, the weight's going to come into the toes. And really think about sealing that big toenail behind each of the big toes into the floor. And then the outer edges of the feet. So almost like you're rooting and nailing the feet into the floor so you can't move. And then the leverage of the arms is going to lengthen the torso. Roll the weight into the toes, tuck the chin, and then with that weight and the toes, just bring the heart closer to the front of the thighs. Feel the tailbone still lifting up. You'll take another breath here. If you want to sway from side to side, you can do that. That'll get into the low back. You can always start to straighten the legs and come into stillness if that feels good for the hamstrings. And wherever you are, I just want you to find that breath that feels good for you. Bring all of your awareness to this moment here. Release the fingertips for the floor. You're going to bring the hands to the shins. And I want you to find a flat back here. So press the hands into the shins. Not too much leverage so you hyperextend the knees, but just a little bit of leverage for the palms. Reach the heart forward and keep the chin tucked. So you'll feel the back of the neck long. That weight is still in the toes. At the same time, you're strengthening and lengthening the back side of the body, the glutes, the hamstrings. Take another full breath in. And then use your next exhale to hinge forward. Belly button's going to come towards the spine. On your next inhale, put a slight bend in the knees with this wide stance, and we'll inhale to rise all the way up. Palms are going to touch overhead. And then exhale, pull the hands down to your heart. Close the eyes. Find that smile back on your face. Reconnect back with your conscious breath. Blink the eyes open. Start with the hands at the hips, and I want you to step the right foot forward. So we'll start with the right foot forward. Look back and see if you can bring the heel, the front heel in line with the back arch. So just step it forward. We're going to come into our warrior two. So when you sink into that front knee, point the right knee towards the middle toe. Scoop the right glute underneath the hip, and that will help point the knee where it should go. And then extend the arms out to a T. Start by looking at the back arm to make sure it's coming out of the body straight. And then as you open up across the chest, bring the gaze over your front middle finger. Soft shoulders here, soft collarbone, and then also check in with the jaw here. Sometimes we'll clench the jaw. Sink into that front knee a little bit more, and then feel the outer edge of that back foot glued to the mat. Take a full breath to settle. On your next inhale, we're going to straighten the legs, straighten the arms, look up as the palms touch. Exhale to come back into warrior two. 2 more times. Inhale to straighten. Exhale, come down into warrior two. 1 more time. Inhale to straighten. Exhale, find warrior two. This time I want you to straighten. Stay straighten. Look at the palms as they touch. Keep pressing the big toe mound of the right foot into the floor. Keep the legs straight. Just bring the arms now out to a T. On your next inhale, I want you to hinge forward. On your exhale, bring the right hand down to your shin very gently. And then gaze up as you extend the left hand up. So for Grant, he typically will use a block. So I'll put a block to the inside of his foot. And if you would rather use that, he can come down. And that's just going to help him start to inch his way closer to the floor. Also give him a little bit more leverage. Make sure you're not hyperextending in that knee really good. And then feel those right ribs, the bottom ribs, rotating the torso up so you can find a little bit more length in the sides of the body. Press both feet into the ground, and then take a breath here to settle. Really good. Take 1 more full breath. And then we're going to use that left hand to pivot all the way down. Bend into the front knee. Come to the ball of the left foot. Really good. Ground the left palm into the floor. Inhale to spiral the right hand up. Press into the ball of the right foot. Feel that right hip pulling back. So if you notice that it's starting to swing out to the side, see if you can hug everything in the center. And then again, belly button to the spine to help you with your twist. Take a big full breath to settle. And use your next inhale to unwind. Right hand comes down. Step the right foot back into plank just to find your distance. And then your next exhale will lift the hips into downward facing dog. You can take a couple of breaths here. If you want to take a child's pose, you can do so, bringing the shins down to the floor and the chest down to the tops of the thighs. We'll take 2 breaths here. Big, deep breath in and a deep breath out. 1 more breath. And then now we're going to step that left foot forward. Spiral the right foot down. And we're going to come up for our warrior 2 on the opposite side. You'll seal the outer edge of the right foot to the floor. Look back at the right arm to make sure it's coming out of the body straight. And then as you open up across the chest, bring the gaze over that front middle finger. And then just look down with the eyes. Make sure that the knee is pointing where you think it is. Feel that scoop of the glute underneath the hip. Lift up through the torso. Soften the shoulders. Really nice. And then be careful not to dump the weight to that back ankle. That's why we seal the pinky edge toe to the floor. So you'll take another full breath here, finding your stance here, finding your foundation. Feeling the feet rooting. On the next inhale, let's straighten through the legs, straighten through the arm, look up as the palms touch. And then exhale, bend back into the knee, warrior 2. Inhale to straighten, lift up through the heart. Exhale, hands extend out, warrior 2. 1 more time, inhale, extend, lift the fingertips up. Exhale, bend back into warrior 2. Inhale to straighten, and we'll stay here. Keep lifting the fingertips up, but soften the shoulders down. Press the ball of the left foot into the ground. Hands come out to a T now. On your next inhale, hinge forward. Exhale, bring that left hand down to your shin. If you have a prop, you can do so, or down to the floor. Then once you come down, use the left ribs to rotate up to the ceiling. Right hand extends up to the ceiling. If it's a little bit too much for that shoulder, you can always use it at the right hip and just hold on to that right hip. I want you to feel both feet evenly connected to the ground. And then where are you clenching? Where are you gripping? Notice where the mind wants to go here. Take a full breath. You're going to keep the legs where they are. Just look down with the gaze. Start to bring the right hand down as you pivot to the ball of the right foot. Bend into the left knee. Ground the right palm into the floor. Firm right leg. And then inhale to spiral your left hand up. As you extend the left fingertips up, feel that left hip pull back. The right leg is nice and firm. Take another big breath in, belly button's pulling towards the spine. And use your next inhale to unwind. Left hand is going to come down to the floor. Ground the palm so you can step the left foot back into plank pose. Take a big breath in. Use your exhale to lift the hips into downward facing dog. Soften the shoulders. Lift the sit bones. And just take a breath here to breathe deeply into your pose. And then on your next inhale, I want you to raise the right leg. You're going to bring the right knee to the right wrist to set up for pigeon pose. So as you do this, the foot will be flexed, but it doesn't need to be parallel to the front of the mat. You can always do this on your back. I think I've taught this before, where you come into a figure four. So whichever is more comfortable for you. If you are upright, I want you to look back at the left leg to make sure it's coming out of the body straight. And then just stay here for a moment. Let the sit bones, the pelvis, relax down towards the floor so they start to ground into the earth a little bit more. And then as you let the low back release, lift up through the heart. Really good. Grant's using a block underneath his right sit bone. If you notice that you're starting to lean onto one side, just put a pillow or something under there just to give you a little bit of leverage under that right glute. And then you can now stay upright, looking up, looking neutral. If you want, you can come down to the forearms. You can stack the fist to rest your forehead on. And once you find that spot, just take a breath. See if you can settle, stay with whatever comes up to the mind. Feel the shoulder blades starting to soften, length for the back of the neck. And stay with that conscious breath. Take 2 more breaths. After your next exhale, you can start to rise up, stack the palms underneath the shoulders, tuck the left toes under so you firm that left leg. You're going to press into the palms, sweep the right leg up so you can stretch it out and come into a 3-legged dog. You can bend the right knee if that feels good. Just takes a moment here. And then you'll find downward facing dog when you're ready, but take your time. Soften the shoulders, soften your breath. Last side, next inhale, left leg lifts. Look forward, bring the left knee towards the left wrist, setting up for pigeon on the opposite side, being aware of how this side feels different. Think about any props that you need. Flex through the left. We'll inhale to find some length, and then pause here so you can let the pelvis start to release down towards the floor. You can start to close the eyes, direct your focus inward, and then choosing to stay upright where you can hinge forward, you can come down onto the forearms, you can stack the fists. And once you find that sweet spot, I want you to bring all of your awareness back to your breath. That breath that sounds like you're fogging up a mirror even though the lips are sealed. So if you can find that breath again, and use the sound of your breath to drown out any chatter that starts to come up in the mind. Use the next couple of breaths to anchor you in your moment here, this place of now. Take 1 more full breath. And bring the hands underneath the shoulders after your next exhale. Tuck the left toes under to firm that, the right toes under, to firm the right leg. Press into the palms and you'll extend that left leg up and back. You can stack the hips, bend the knee, do whatever feels good on this side. And then place the left foot down to the floor. Find downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in and out. 1 more breath. And come into a child's pose. Press the sit bones back for the heels. Place the forehead down onto your mat, or you can stack the palms flat. I want you to release in the low back here. Just take a moment here to notice how the body feels. Soften the mind. Take a full cycle of breath. We'll keep the eyes closed. Start to rise up. Stack the spine, come into hero pose, or you can come onto the glutes into your comfortable seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart. Just take a full breath here. And to close our practice, we'll take our 3 breaths. When you're ready, let's take a big, deep inhale in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale to sigh it out. Again, inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Final time. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Seal the lips. Find that smile back on your face. And then when you're ready, blink the eyes open. Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, guys, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for joining me and going through your practice with me. Just remember, you can always do these poses off the mat throughout your day. For me, that triangle pose, if you end up having a lot of low back pain, that is one that really helps me. You don't have to be on your mat. You don't have to be in a practice to do these poses. Maybe you just hold a pose for 5 breaths and take the moment for yourself. So thanks again for joining us. I hope you have a really great Wednesday, and I will see you on Friday at 9 a.m. Thanks.